let's get started in a grounding position. Okay, so if you want to sit and meditate, if you want to lay on your back, that's fine. I'll start in child pose. It's really nice for kind of getting a stretch at the same time for your ankles, your lower back, your thighs, your underarms. So it's such a good kind of place to get a lot done here as we ground. I always do recommend you can put your arms on blocks if you want a little bit more stretch for your underarms. Try to bring your forehead down. Try to relax and get comfortable here. And just start to, connect to your body, the subtle body. In yoga, they talk about the gross body practice and the subtle body practice, completely different practice. We want to give attention to both because they're both our body. We want to remember there's a big difference, and we have to kind of slow down and settle to really get a grasp, a firmer grasp of our awareness in the subtle body. Okay, so you got a couple more moments here. Nice smooth inhale in your nose, exhale. If you feel like you want to walk your hands over to the right, kind of stacking your left hand on top of your right, it's going to bring a little bit more awareness in your side body, a stretch. The yogis don't really have a classic word for stretch, right? They always say like open. And try to breathe. This is where that directional breath really starts to, as we, contort the body in a certain way, the breath will start to direct itself more intentionally in certain spaces in the body. Okay, and then you can do your second side, walking your hands over to the left. If you're just joining, we're just starting in a grounding posture of choice. We have all regulars, a little bit smaller group today, a little bit more freedom in the beginning here. Okay, big inhale. Let's come back to center, guys. Let's rise up. Let's do our quick cat-cow here. Inhale, arch the back. Anytime my body's feeling like tight, especially around the lower back, I do the cat-cow. Some days if I'm feeling pain, I'll do it very light. And then some days if I'm feeling pretty good, just a little tight, I'll make it a little bit more assertive. Okay, so I really round. If your wrists feel tight, you can add on the flip of the wrist to the knees. You're gonna add an elbow and wrist stretch. Okay, and then if you want a very active form, say you've been up for a couple hours and you're really awake, feeling good, you can do what we call the active cat-cow. It's where I hover my knees. I do that same movement, but with the knees hovering. So there's 3 variations or 4. Some yoga teachers say I give too many options, right? But I think that's important in the part of the process to kind of learn all the different variations, and just, it's not like one's better. It's just, it's all about the context of when you apply it. And getting better at that process is important. So I try to give you some direction, but then a lot of freedom. Okay, no rush. Next time you're in that cat, let's bring it to dog. So hips up and back. Pedal your feet out. Try to shake your head yes and no. Remember to press your inner hand down. Okay, that's a big cue here, because we're doing this posture so much and it's weight bearing. If I roll to the outer hand too much, you're going to start to get that kind of compression type feeling in the outer wrist. So you want to work on pressing that index finger and thumb down. So if you were to look at your thumb pad should actually almost roll down. You don't want to be on like the outer edge of your thumb. You got to try to roll the thumb pad more down. Okay, and then it's almost like you can lift your pinky. You're pressing the inner hand down so much. You're not going to do that whole, but it's like you could if you wanted to. Okay, now after you move a little bit, you take the last few more intentional breaths. So I mentioned the gross and subtle body. That's like the first 2 layers of yoga in the physical form. And then a third layer is really, the breath is the subtle body as well. So you really want to go into that subtle body. The first cues were move around, feel it out, the gross body, bigger body, physical. And then it's more like the subtle body. So breathing is very physical too, right? It's muscular. There's a lot of movement within the body, physical stimulation. Whereas like mind, thoughts, emotions aren't so much going to be physically aware necessarily. So we want to like really go into that breath work, that second layer I like to call the physical, okay? And then no rush here, guys. We're going to shift forward to our plank posture. Couple breaths in your plank. If you want to add, if you want to make it easy, you can go down to the knees. If your wrists are bothering you, you're on your forearms. Couple breaths in your plank. If you're feeling really good, you can hover a foot. Planks are fantastic for a first weight-bearing, full-body position. You can do them cold. You could be like freezing and safely do a plank. A lot of teachers like to say, I like to use plank to warm up. It's really not my favorite, but I do like to mix it in there because it is fantastic exercise. Okay, you put that other foot up in the air if you're doing it. We are trying to hold for a good minute here if we can. Okay, big inhale, guys. Little bit different. Down to the knees. Rise up onto your knees. Hands go behind your back. This is an easier approach to a camel. Don't over drop back and bend. More think a cobra. Same posture. Press your feet down. Lift your chest up. Roll your shoulders back. What you see a lot in cobras, people are still here. The shoulders are up and forward. Okay? But what we want to try to do even in cobra is bring the shoulders back and down. So you don't have to bind your hands, but it helps in this initial form where the arms were above us and then in front of us now finally come behind us. Whereas in cobra, a lot of people have a difficult time with that active movement. So you can see I'm much more bendy here. I can easily reach my heels. I can drop way back and down, but that's not really my intention. Okay, big inhale, please. Big exhale, tabletop. Left leg rises. Right foot turns behind me. Right hand under right shoulder, left arm high. First side body, we did good warm up for front and back body. Now first side body, top arm can reach forward. Okay, pull the heel behind you a little bit, pull the ribs in. Lift the outer left foot up. If it's too much, left foot could be on the floor, okay? If you want a little bit more, go easy, okay? It's a big pose already. Left foot reaches behind you to the left hand. And I'm not kicking as strong as possible here. I do want to pull my belly in because this posture will create a tension arch in my lower back. So there's some strength, there's some balance, there's some stretch. But be easy, right? It depends on, we lost an hour last night. If you don't sleep as good or as much, you will increase your chance of injury big time. Now go slow. Left arm high, left hand down, left knee down. We're basically going to dance right to the second side, right? Leg rise, boom. Oh, wait, make sure you're on your second side here, right? Turn that bottom foot behind you. That's something I don't see enough. People keep that foot here, and they're very unstable. It's not really our intention yet. It's not to be very unstable, but a balanced posture you can manage. Top arm can reach forward, kind of lengthen into your side body, pull your lower abdomen in. Some of us staying here, pulling the heel back and up. Some of us reaching back for the foot. And you want to take a few breaths here, guys. It's definitely, I wouldn't really say, I'd say it's an intermediate posture, and done this early makes it even more intermediate. And what I just mean by that is challenging on the body, all right? We did the camel, which is in a sense a symmetrical variation of it, but then it's a little bit more like hyper-assisted and asymmetrical, okay? So when in doubt, you skip some of that crazy stuff. Okay, big inhale, yogis. No rush. Arm high, arm down, knee down. Downward dog. I want to do this core work. I don't really teach this enough, but it is full body, fantastic work. Inhale, right leg goes high. Take a moment if you'd like, kind of open up your hip. I usually, in my own practice, when I do like a strict yoga practice, usually about 2 to 3 days a week, that up leg open hip is always in there. You know, it's really hard to replace this one here, okay? Let's do a couple core crunches. Big inhale. I drop my right hip down. I lift my right leg high. I lift my left heel high. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, right leg up. I like to suggest pulsing the leg up here for the glute, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, right leg high. And then it's the right knee, left elbow. So I'm kind of shifting forward and back to plank now. And the dog. And I'm bringing the knee forward and leg up. Knee forward, right, leg up. Knee forward, left, and back up. Last few. So it's center, right, and then left. In a sense, that's kind of representing stuff like pyramid, triangle, revolve triangle. Warrior 3, half moon, revolve moon. It's that same kind of pattern of the 3 planes of movement where your outer hip, outer core, medial, middle, and then the inner, let's call it more medial, right? Where your inner thigh is more working. It's a really nice exercise, yogis. Right foot steps forward. So now we finished up that core crunch. Here's where blocks would be good under your hands. I want to find my lunge, and I want to do our first dynamic twist. Inhale, right arm out and up. Exhale, right hand down. Inhale, right arm out and up. Exhale, right and down. Your legs were just moving a lot, but now they're pretty sturdy. And your spine is now taking more of the movement, and your arms are now going like this, where they were going like this. Now they're going like this, okay? Last few. In the twist, we're trying to get to a minimum of about 6 reps. And I like to call it like the standard, like if you can, you're more like 12 or 15 even. And the idea is if you can do like 15 easy and you're using it for strength, you should, in a sense, make it more difficult. Listen, right arm goes high. Drop your back knee down. If you want to take your right hand on your thigh and open it up, take a stretch. Just notice my knee isn't here, yogis. It's back, okay? I'm getting space between my thighs. It's like a lunge. Right arm goes back. If you want to go big, it might be too early. Right hand grabs left foot. There's a big stretch now, okay? We're kind of working, strength and movement, and then we're kind of stretching. The easy version is to not grab that foot. Last few breaths. I like to mix in. I said, you know, sometimes I'm here, stretching and breathing here. Sometimes I'm kind of more here. It's almost like I'm halfway in a pigeon. You start to get it in the outer leg more. Some days I'll even kind of, you know, bend the knee a little bit deeper here, getting into like compression of my front ankle. Love that stretch here for like the back of my Achilles. I actually rolled my ankle about 4 days ago and it's still really bothering me in the Achilles. Okay, so big inhale, guys. Let's take it down, right foot back. If you want to shake the leg out a little bit, it might be a good time to kind of circle your hip. I don't do enough of that kind of joint maintenance work in these big classes where you're kind of just like circling the hip. We do it standing, we do it in table, we do it on our back, we do it here. It's a really good one. And then we'll take that first round of optional chaturanga. I'll add extra push-ups. So big bending of the arms now. So meet in tabletop, or down dog, excuse me. We're gonna shift forward. You know I'm a big fan of push-ups, full body, bend those elbows, straighten those elbows. If you can't do push-ups, you're on the knees, bending an inch. This is the beginner push-up on the floor. It looks like that, and you get good at it. You bend the elbows another inch. You go 2 inch. You work in these small increments where your body can do it, but is really challenged. The idea is to find a way to do it. That's how you're gonna change what's called your biomemory. You know, you heard of muscle memory. You obviously heard of neural memory. You remember stuff. But you know, the mass complex of the multiple memories of the body is referred to sometimes as biomemory, like living memory. And the way we do it in the muscles is you got to do it. You got to find a way to teach your body that type of action. Let's get back to down dog. There's a lot on your arms right now, I know. So let's meet in dog. And we start with ab and butt work. This is very much full body core. Here we go. Inhale, left leg rises. I did say open the hip to start. I know it's a lot. You're breathing here. Some of you guys already did that bow in the side plank. You don't really need that as much right now. Kind of a substitute. That left hip opens up. Just notice, do you start to dump weight in your right arm? You kind of lift that right armpit up a little bit and lengthen through your traps and press your palms down. You don't want to stress the body out too much here, yogis. All right. Inhale, left leg goes high. Now go slow. Left knee, forehead. You're going to shift the plank. Nice. Inhale, left leg goes high. Pulse it up. I love that one. Left knee, left elbow. I love it because it works really well. Not because I love doing it necessarily, okay? I love it because that will really turn your glute on. You got to get that glute firing, yogis, all right? I worked with a young lady yesterday. She's about 34 and she has some sciatica pain. And what did we talk about? We've talked about piriformis tension. I didn't give her hip flexor stretches. I gave her glute strengtheners, ab strengtheners, and the only stretches I gave her really were lateral. And we're trying to get those glutes strong, to take pressure out of other muscles and to stabilize your pelvic tilt better and your SI joint better, okay? So that glute lift here with the leg up and back is maybe, in my opinion, the most important part of this exercise. There's a lot happening now. After you get to, remember, 6, 12, maybe 15, which would be 3 to each spot, center, left, right, or 3 to 5, 9 or 15. We're going to step the left foot forward, and now we want to sturdy our legs. The legs don't move, okay? You can do it like this. I don't care, it's fine. I want to rotate my spine via my core. Inhale, left arm out and up. Exhale, left hand down. Inhale, left arm out and up. Exhale, left hand down. Please continue in your personal expression of the movement. Closing your eyes if you can. Now, instead of stretching the hamstrings early in practice, we only had down dog really doing that. I'm choosing to stretch more of the glute. Let's call it like a yogi squat almost, and your right thigh potentially, and definitely your right hip flexor. So we meet here. Pushing the knee out, maybe a little bit longer of a hold, slow it down a little bit. Left arm goes back. If you want to go big, you're here. You can do this stretch on the outer edge of your ankle or with the big toe down. It's not wrong, yogis. It just depends on what your objective is. Why are you doing a certain pose, a certain stretch, a certain exercise? If you can enhance the logic of why you do certain exercises, that is what makes you, quote unquote, a better exerciser. Why are you doing it? More intelligence behind it, more intention, more just rational thought. Okay, now in a group setting, it's interesting. How I approach my own body is often very different than what I'm teaching in class. It's a different approach. I have to look at the musculoskeletal mechanistic body and apply a system that can work with a lot of different people and have purpose. The way I do this is just based off what my body's telling me. Sometimes I start in completely different things than the next day and stuff you really normally wouldn't start in. It all just depends on what my body has told me in that morning or in that moment. So we're not going to do a ton of chaturangas today, all right? But get them in if you want them now, extra push-ups, okay? So when you're done there, no rush. We're going to slowly take the hand down. Left leg goes back and up. And I mentioned circling your hip nice and slow. So it's taking your hip through a very complex, full kind of circle. Both directions, ideally. And then I'm not going to give too much instruction. It's just a type of chaturanga. I've suggested adding extra push-ups because I'm going to bring you off of your arms in a moment here. So you would meet in down dog. You would shift forward and skillfully, mindfully to plank. shift even more forward, I like to suggest shoulders in front of wrists, more over fingers, and then bend the elbows a few times and straighten the elbows. You're just simply doing this, yogis. You rep out. I pretty much do push-ups every time I exercise, usually for a warm-up. Using push-ups as my main strengthener, I would never really do them like this, mainly because I can just do too many. I have to rep out, 40 or 50. But I do push-ups like this, and it's called diamond push-up. It's like a tricep. Okay. I also do extended push-ups where I'm kind of bringing my elbows down more. I've talked about that in class. I also do like clap push-ups where I kind of get a little explosive, a little jump, but you got to be extra careful there. Much more impact potential, strain, injury potential, but it'll make you a lot stronger to speed that up a little bit. And I'll also just hold low plank and like kind of pulse. Okay, those are ways to make this a little bit more muscular stimulating if it's too easy. Now take that back bend if you haven't. I didn't mention it earlier, but a cobra and up dog. Down dog, please. Big inhale on your dog. Big exhale. As my one yogi teacher says, you always have to slow down with your dog. Give it some attention, right? Your dog's happy to see you. You gotta say hi and pause. On your inhale, bend your knees, look forward, work on a hop. Don't be shy to handstand or even hold a handstand in the wall, okay? Inhale, let's half lift. We're not gonna hold the forward bend just yet. I wanna get you in a chair. Here we go. Couple breaths. I want you to think of chair in yoga as like squat and exercise. It's basically the most fundamental exercise. Anytime we're looking at the fundamental exercises of the body, it's on the feet to start, right? That's when strength is needed. Strength isn't really needed as much when you're sitting on the couch, in your car. You're supported everywhere. You're just here. Strength is needed when you're upright, particularly when your knees bend, because when you get lazy, you're like this. It's when your knees bend is when strength is needed. Let's keep going. Big inhale. Stand up. Left knee lifts. Bind the 10 finger right below the left shin. Drive the knee up. This is what I want you to remember here. It's something you can do anytime, anywhere. You don't need to be warm, okay? You're lifting that knee up. We're going through a few classic postures now. Mainly legs, but you're going to see, core as well. Big inhale. Go really slow. Short holds for now. Bend standing knee. Hinge. Left leg shoots back. Finding your first lunge. When you're thinking of like classic standing legs, chair, squat, standing balance, that's like a lunge, right? This posture is like a lunge. And now lunge. Big inhale. This is the hamstring stretch we're going to hold. Straighten your front leg. Step your back foot in a little bit. My right hip goes back. Maybe hands on hips. If you want more, left hand up. Or if you want a lot, both arms up. Big inhale. I suggest bending your front knee if you have any back pain, keeping your spine long, maybe grabbing your blocks. If you're good at it, keep your spine long, engage your legs. Couple breaths here, guys. Starting to forward fold over the leg more, maybe flexing your right foot more. This is an active position just as much as that is a stretch. I call it active stretching. So you are engaging the muscles, particularly around the top of the knee. You'll feel those muscles, the 2 quadricep, particularly vastus medialis, lift right up above the knee. You can feel like your kneecap lift. That's key here. You also want to press the big toe down a lot and squeeze your feet together and forward and back. Don't forget torque strength. It's like this rotational quality of strength through really any body part that rotates, but here a little bit more of the legs. We're trying to develop the active ability to hold our weight of our body. This is, all yoga poses are active initially, okay? Big inhale, guys. Go slow. Just bend the front knee, step the right foot back. We got to do that side plank. We did a warm-up round, but if you want to take it further, I'll give you the option. I want to go left first, so left hand down, right arm up. If you want more, right foot steps behind me, hips lift. We call it flip dog. This is where side plank turns a little bit more rotational and back bendy. So it's back body, weight bearing, in a rotational, we call it like transverse spiral line. There's all these words for it. Okay, now how slow can you go? You want to come back through your side plank, skillfully back through your high plank, and then side plank first round, second side. So you're just going to go boom, left arm goes high. Some of us just staying there, some of us dropping the knee. We did that warm-up round earlier, a little bit more like half moon though. Left foot goes off my mat behind me if you want to go a little further in range, a little bit more complex in the activation of weight-bearing body. Close your eyes, please. You're not holding too long. Like one of the, you hear it a lot now. The goal is to work more intelligently in your exercise. Not more necessarily, but more intelligent. Okay, it's just like anything. Like you're working, you have to do a lot of work. How can you set up a system to make it more efficient and intelligent to not waste time and energy? Same in exercise. We waste so much energy. You're actually draining your body a lot when you're exercising, right? You're using all that sacred energy. Now listen, back to we're going to do a different back bend today, guys. So we're going to bring it down to the chest. I do this a lot where we do side planks and then we do locusts. So back body plank, let's call it. Lengthen your core. I'll give you some options. I do want our back arms turning on. So arms down by side where we're here. You could do the the fingers touch thing, or arms could go wide. It's like a back fly. It's really good as well, okay? Either way, arms wide or down. Let's go ahead and lift that chest and legs and lift our arms. Try to straighten through your limbs. Pull the belly in a little too. What happens is people push their belly down. I'm not going to say that there is a time to do that. But what you're doing there is pushing the belly down, basically creating a hyper arch in your back. I wouldn't recommend that for the average person, okay? You actually want to try to pull your belly in a little bit when you overarch your back. Good general rule. So you lengthen your neck, you lengthen your legs, you lift everything up on your last inhale. You find like a peak intensity of mind and body, and then you lower down, okay? You can take a up dog or a cobra. We'll meet back in down dog. If you need a quick child pose, that's fine. I'll give you a couple extra hops here. You know, I like to get your bodies moving fast. You want to look at that as like a whole different realm of exercise, moving fast once in a while. Even things like treadmill, stairs, you're not going to get much fast twitch. So what I can try here, before I hop forward, it looks like this. I bend the knees, and it looks like that little hop. Notice my spine stays pretty long and straight. My spine isn't actually moving. Remember, all your joints have what are called actions. It's how your joint moves through space, or really it's called allowing movement in space. I'm not actually having any action in my spine here. I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. I'm actually, all I'm doing, keeping my shoulders over my wrist, bending my knees, straightening my knees, and the straightening of my legs and my feet, plantar flexion, is just propelling my spine forward over my arms. Okay, so the spine actually has no action. As soon as you do let action happen in spine, this becomes a much more kind of dangerous, let's say, exercise, even though it's not that dangerous, okay? How slow can you go? Hop forward. I do want you to get that inhale half lift. Ardha Utthana. I don't teach Danda enough. I teach it here. Wait until the legs, Danda, okay? Forward fold. We got one more round of chair here. Not too long of a hold, so sit deep. Bend both knees deep. This is the symmetry to kind of set up the leg series where you go, we're going to go tree, and then we're going to go lunge. So hold it strong here. Get low, reach high. Tree, chair is supposed to, you know, make you mad, or not mad, crazy. Okay, that's what they say in like England, right? You mad, it means crazy. Now sit low, guys. Reach higher, and then the arms go from this really straight arm push to stand up, please. Right knee lifts. This bent arm pull. So it's like a row. I go from a push to a pull. Okay? And notice how much I am pulling that knee up and in, like my thighs against my chest. We practice this range of motion here, so you're getting better at reducing muscular resistance here. That's the same posture. See how I can really pull that knee in? I'm doing it now upright, more functional, wind removing posture. See how I pull that knee way up. When I started yoga, I was quite athletic, right? I was playing all these sports. I was in my lower 20s, and I couldn't get my knee like past here at all. I could barely even grab the darn knee. Even though I was like kind of flexible, my knees were too tight, my hips were too tight, okay? How slow can you go? Bend knee. We're not gonna hold warrior 3 yet. We're just kind of moving through that space. Right foot at the back of your mat, find your lunge. And I did mention yesterday, we did yoga sculpt classes, we've done the animal flow, we've done the fast twitch. You can add those things in. We've done them all in these postures, right? We had lunge and chair in every single one of those styles of exercise. Don't be shy to add some of those little unique flavors. Just hold lunge. We're not here too long, guys. Get low, bend knee. Usually really long holds and sequencing of postures is definitely intermediate, because the ability to have quality self-awareness as the stress brain kicks in more and more, you're not as clear-minded, you're not as refined in the consciousness. So that's why I do short holds on average, because I find when I walk around, the longer we hold the posture, the more the quality goes down. Okay, now there are always a lot of benefits to be had there. Now straighten your front leg, nice job with your bent knees. Left hip back. You want more? Right arm up. You want to lock both arms up. Okay? Left hip back, engage legs. If you have any pains anywhere, I suggest bending the front knee, micro bend. You work on straightening it more. Those legs are really strong. Left hip back. You start to hinge. Eventually, it's called pyramid. As you can see, we've been in. This is basically going to complete all of our, sagittal exercise, like very forward and back, as far as on the legs. So I'm here, I can go forward, flex the foot. There are more advanced options. There's binds, there's splits here, going hyper stretching. Close your eyes, take a few breaths. Pyramid's fantastic. Like it's basically just combining strength and flexibility. Someone who's tight, you might say, drop your knee down, do a half split, or put your leg up, do the stretch tight. But most people, you want to keep increasing strength within range as you're developing. Bend knees, hands plant, left foot back. We got one more side plank. Now I'll give a little more option. You're going to shift away to your right hand first here, guys. Now, you're in a side plank. Watch me here. I actually want to bring my left foot down in back. Just press the sole of my foot down and slide my right foot forward. So my right foot's now in front of me. My right hand's down, right foot in front. My sole of my left foot is pushing down. I don't want my butts to stick back. I actually want to bring my butt forward more. And then top arm can reach high. Adductor side plank, so you can really feel your inner thigh. It's fallen triangle is the name of the posture, or Hatha Trikonasana in Sanskrit. I'm not too big on just the Sanskrit. I know some teachers obsessed with that. I've had teachers say, you don't know all the Sanskrit terms for the poses, you shouldn't be teaching yoga. But they don't know the body. They're teaching exercise, period. So I think that's more important. I've spent more time focusing on that in recent years. But it's called the Panatrikonasana, the fallen triangle, okay? The advanced variation is more of the revolve fallen triangle. If you want to taste it, I won't show it right now. Go slow, side plank, high plank. Last round here, right arm high. Go ahead, top arm high. So left arm down, right arm high, side plank. Or your right foot kind of goes behind you on the floor. The sole of your right foot pushes down. So it's an active supination. Left foot slides forward. It's kind of like, a substitute for, You know, there's half moon quality, but it's more like even a warrior two substitute. Really nice way to strengthen the inner thigh. Not the easiest thing to strengthen in yoga is the adductor, okay? I worked with a husband and a wife yesterday. The wife needed to strengthen her whole back line, calves, butt, lower back, and the gentleman, really strong, lifts too many weights. He needs to stretch more, and he needs to strengthen his adductors. The only strengthener I gave him was a lot of adductor strength. I did mention fallen triangle. It's a nice way to do it in a calisthenic body weight form, okay? High plank, let's meet down on the chest. So we do want to do like it's side body strength, plank, plank, and I consider this a plank. Arms go here. If you want to go big, I think you can do it this round, but just to be clear, this is front shoulder. This is front shoulder, this is back shoulder, this is back shoulder. So you're either going to lift your arms here, here. Full version is usually considered this, but we do this a lot in yoga, so that's why I don't teach it that much. I want one more big locust pose. Go ahead. Lift everything up. I always talk about this posture. It's so good, yogis, and there's not really that many excellent replacements. Yeah, you can try to do this in Warrior 3. You know, you get something like this kind of in a lunge, but there isn't weight there. It's such a really excellent exercise, okay? Go down low, press it back. You can take your up dog, your child pose. Let's meet back and down dog. Take another 20 seconds if you want to do hops. So listen, we're going to meet back and down dog. And that was a lot on your legs, right? We just did hit your arms a lot too. I want to get one last big arm strength there. Now, easier is on your forearms. I didn't say easy, I said easier. So we're going to take dolphin. It's basically dog on your forearms. Pull your chest through your arms. Okay? If you want to go big, you could go forearm balance here. I like to try to include inversions. You have a wall, you can hop up on the wall. If you want to go like straight tricep blast, the back of your upper arm here and your underarm, you're going to get a lot too. So it's elbow kind of through shoulder joint here. Tricep crosses two joints, elbow and shoulder. That's why a lot of people do triceps like this. It's not really that great at all. It's actually better to go here. Way better, actually, right? And then, you know, you do this one too, where your back of your arm lengthens, and then you go like that, overhead, tricep extension. As long as your humerus bone is moving too. But that's going off track there. If you want to go big tricep blast, it's called like turbo dog or dolphin. It's kind of halfway. We've done this before. I can widen my feet a little bit. I bend my elbows. Think of it like a push-up, but in dog, right? I bend my elbows so they, you know, maybe eventually hover 3 inches. Just don't let your elbows go out. Hug them in. And then eventually your elbows hover about an inch. Your elbows hug in. Your hips go up and back. I don't want to start shifting forward. I want to keep shifting back. That's going to make it more tricep because your humerus bone goes more flexed. So it's basically down dog, but with bent arms, elbows hovering. They literally call it bent arm dog. It's a classic yoga pose. Anything we do, straight arm, high plank, we do bent arm, low plank. Same with knees, the hinge joints. So you got another like 30, 40 seconds. Inversions, arm work. You know, I mentioned stuff like this as well. I like to even rep out some of these. If you watch me, dolphin, dog, dolphin, dog. You can do it in plank. This is another way to work a similar exercise. Dolphin, plank, dolphin, plank. I mentioned extended plank push-ups. This is what I said I'd do for my push-ups. I'll go extended plank. See this? And I'll bend my elbows, tap, straighten, bend, straighten. It's a really nice tricep. They're all going to hit the back of that arm. If we can strengthen that tricep, It's going to help our elbows be able to straighten more, and it's going to help our arm bone be pulled back more instead of being in this front body space. Okay, it's going to help a little bit more kind of pull those arms back. So you're working those arms, you're going to your edge. As I like to suggest, this is what I say in my own practice. How am I going to torture myself in the practice today? Now, torture is a strong word. How am I going to work really hard in practice today? How am I going to get outside my comfort zone and teach my body to be strong in the difficulty? But then also, how am I going to heal and restore my body that day too? If you get into that idea that yoga always has to feel good, that's dangerous. It's dangerous to take too much of a soft approach on your body. Your body is very powerful and strong. Let's not get into the idea of reminding our body that it's wimpy. Okay, your body's very strong. Keep telling it that, reminding it. All right, guys, listen. Slowly take a moment. Do a little seated meditation. I want to do a side stretch here. So sit on the heels. Take a little stretch. Side stretch. Drop your hips to the left. Your feet go a little to the right. Right hand down, left arm up. Just slow down after a moment. You kind of stretch your underarm here after you were just working it. There is bending your hand down, reaching the elbow up. You're going to get a little bit more. It is lengthening that line even more. Let's not hold that too long, right? Second side. Don't overlook this stretch. It seems subtle, but it's actually huge. It is a double traction in your lateral body, particularly what's called your QL. It's like your deepest lower back muscle. It connects your 12th rib to the crest and your spine. Top arm reaches, right arm reaches high. If your hips are on the right, your arm goes up and over to the right. Sorry about that. Our puppy likes to harass our guinea pigs, so I had to get her under control. She was sleeping, now she's awake, and it's like a awakening dragon. She's tormenting everything around the house. So remember, this is like a really overlooked stretch. It's really profound though, because a lot of the stretches we do in the lateral body don't have lateral tilt. And that's always important to remember. If you're going for like a peak side body stretch, you gotta have lateral tilt, particularly away from the side you're reaching up. Okay, so that's that big side stretch. Now take a moment, I wanna do our front body tensions. So we just came from side body plank, we just came from tricep. So one of my favorite exercises I do very regularly, probably at least 2 or 3 times a week. We're gonna rise up. Remember we did this earlier. Now, we're not gonna stretch here, even though there is stretching. It's more of a tension stretch. I don't wanna see this. I also do not wanna see this. I wanna keep my shoulders over my hips. And I'm gonna press my feet down. My feet are about hips width distance. And I'm gonna lean back. You can reach your arms forward. It's like a little counterbalance. I like to call it like the capital letter Z. So from the side, by the way, this is from like knee rehab, right? It's an aggressive form of it. A little bit more athletic approach to knee rehab, right? It's funny because it's actually a knee extension. You wouldn't think about it like that looking at this. So the tension is going to be really, the key is, yogis, to squeeze your butt the whole time as you go back. So I got to squeeze my butt, press my feet down, squeeze my butt, press my feet down, and then come back up. This is like an exercise I'll do instead of a plank. So let me see you here. Remember that you only have to go back an inch or two. Don't play that game to see how far I can go here. I said it's knee extension, right? It's like you go to the Nautilus machine, you hook your feet here and then the pad, and you go like that. That's compression, the extension more, or concentric. This is more of that tensing knee negative or eccentric. It's, yogis, you get good here, it makes your knees really strong and healthy, okay? A lot of people have trouble stabilizing the knee through that whole front chain. And the knee is sensitive, the knee is weak, the knee is like injured easy. I'll tell you, you work this, it heals things like shin splints, it heals things like patellar tendonitis. These are all like problems like right through here. It's a really good one. Take a little breather. Maybe sit for a moment if you need. I'm gonna do one more round. Because when I do this, it's more like 4 or 5 rounds, 2 days a week usually, okay? On good days, I can, kind of go back and tap the butt. You want to try to stay out of hip flexion because people will kind of go like this. And then, oh, look, I go all the way back. And then I come back up. That is how you make this more dangerous. We're not trying to go hyper range, okay? One more round. Let's make it a good one. Remember 6, maybe 12. Standard more like 15. Squeeze your butt, squeeze your butt. Notice how much more support you feel when you keep your butt engaged. And it's just like any exercise, yogis. When you contract muscles that are weak, it basically hurts. A lot of times stuff hurts in yoga because muscles are weak. People come into yoga and even if they're athletic, yoga hurts. You're using muscles in ways you never do. And pain firing is simply a message of your body telling you to be a little careful. It doesn't mean avoid it completely. It means show caution. Be aware. Slow down. Better muscle contraction. Better other, support from muscles. So even though we're not really working the butt, you got to engage it here to support the pelvis, the core. So that is, in a sense, our peak front body stretch, or strengthener. It's kind of like bow and abs, where you would do something like this, where you have this engaged, and you're leaning back and there's tension through here. It's kind of similar. You wouldn't really think so looking at it, right? Now listen, we want to shorten and straighten. So down dog. So what I mean, your legs straighten, so front line shortens maximum. Dorsiflexion, opposite in ankle, opposite in knee, opposite in hips. Okay? Feet to the front of your mat. Stand up, please. Final standing postures. I like to end yoga often in standing form. Okay? Stand up tall, please. Posture is the priority. Maintain posture when we do exercise standing. Chair pose. Left knee lifts. Turn inner shin up. Rest ankle on top of knee and sit low. In a sense, it is a stretch, it is a strengthener. Just notice, do you really tilt your pelvis? Do you really drop your hip down? Now you could go farther. We're not doing much arm balances today. Side planks and arm balance, okay? So you're gonna hinge if you wanna go for it, bringing the chest lower, bringing the hips a little bit lower. Okay, so you would start up here, you really got to activate that left foot, but then you start to hinge more, getting lower. Last few breaths. There's twists here. There is arm balance here. We call it galavas. It's like a flying pigeon where that left foot hooks on top of the right tricep. I'm not going to do it right now, yogis. I can't. Sometimes I can't demonstrate. I did 3 hours of body work yesterday and an hour and a half 2 hours the day before. My body gets sore from the massage work and got to kind of do therapeutics today more so. Or just very linear stuff. Like I could squat today, but not necessarily like arm balance and flexibility. Okay. Now go slow. It's just side to side. It's classic Hatha yoga. Inhale up, arms up. Left foot down, arms down. So we just neutralize in Tadasana, just like we might neutralize in down dog in the ground form. Chair pose. Take your time, shift your weight to your left foot, get light in your right foot, and then right foot starts to hover. And before you cross the ankle, what you do is you try to bend your standing knee a little bit more and lift your top knee higher. I've had you hold, this before active. I've also had you hold this active. And in fast twitch, we've done this. Moving pigeon, right? So go slow, rest it on the ankle, on the knee now, and take your figure 4 chair. Some of us staying there. It is a little bit longer hold, okay? Legs need endurance. Sit low, flex that foot. If you want, you can start to hinge forward over the leg. Just to be clear, I am kind of using this as a stretch as well. Press your right ankle into your knee a little bit. People be lazy in this leg. It's all active. It's an active figure 4. We have this bone connection in the outer shin below the knee, tibula, fibular. It's not really a joint. Some people call it a joint, but you get like a separation there. It's a very misdiagnosed muscle issue, right? People have gotten knee surgeries on meniscus and ligaments in the knee, MCI. It's tibiofibular. It's not ligament it's not meniscus. It's like it's a misdiagnosed thing a lot. I learned this from my myology professor who has a PhD in anatomy. And she was talking about that, like how like thousands of cases have been misdiagnosed and unnecessary surgeries because it's actually tibio-fibula. And this can help us really build strength right there in that outer area, okay? Slowly come up and shake it out here, guys. A little different chair. So that's a very laterally rotated lengthened position. So it is a chair. It's a little awkward. We've done it before. I want you to bend your knees. Arms can go forward here and then wide. So instead of being up here now, here, back, hover your first foot, but keep it low now, and I want you to just go wide. So you're only bent forward as much as you need to front of a chair. And you can see from the side now, my arms are wide, pulling them back, pull my ribs in. My leg goes wide, yogis. Now, if you want to go more, you can bring your chest down, lift it higher, and straighten your leg. But all the while, my right knee is bent. Peak standing posture. It's a very weird posture. You know me, I love weird yoga. And what you can do is tap your left foot down, get a little lower, and then lift it up again. And by now, you're probably like, wow, this is hard. Now go slow. Lift the chest, bend the knee, stand up, left foot down, arms down. Take a moment. Final standing posture. Right foot hovers. Notice I shifted a lot. Try to keep the body a little bit more stacked. If it's easy, lift the leg higher and hinge your chest more parallel to the floor. But I want to be clear. Your left knee, your standing knee is bent, yogis. Don't get lazy and start to straighten that leg. If you don't like that posture, you're doing it correct. If you really like that posture, you might be advanced at yoga, learning to be comfortable in the uncomfort. Look for the opportunity to keep that positive mind state in something that's trying to stretch you out. Okay? Go slow, guys. Right foot back in. Stand up. Yoga is the science of self-realization. Okay? Learning to deal with difficulties is part of our process. So we haven't touched our toes yet. Now we're going to do it. If you want to go a little bit big, I will offer this today. If you have yoga blocks, you can try this. Just to be clear, we are in the end of class here. I'm not going to do like wheel or even boat today. Just some substitutes today for that. My blocks are in front of me. The balls of my feet, the toes are on the block. Just be careful. You don't want to see this. You don't want to like fall here, guys. So my blocks are in front of me. I carefully step on my, if you can't do this, I like to just roll up a little yoga blanket. And that's really enough to just get a little lift in your feet. This is a very extreme variation, what I'm showing right now, okay? You want to stand up tall if you can, and then what we're going to do in the forward fold is go big here. We're going to try this one. Couple more breaths if you're trying it. Remember, you can bend your knees. I often talk about how I'll add weight and movement to this. Like I'll go to the Bay Club all the time, and when I'm doing a little bit more of a fitness weightlifting approach, but what I love is that yoga has made me so much more mindful about how I approach all my exercise. So I bring yoga practice and awareness into my other type of exercise. I literally will take weight and I'll go like this because I'm just kind of too flexible now. And I'll rise up, you know, I'll start with about a quarter of my body weight. I'll work up to a half, 3/4, you know, 120 pounds in a bar, and I'll go like this, and I'll come back up, and I'll go down. Anytime we're building range of motion, and the range becomes easy or effortless, it's a sign that your body can release really well. I try to explain this idea. You got to strengthen what's really flexible, guys. All right, and then you got to kind of stretch what's really too tight. By definition, joints are designed to move. If they can't move anymore, you're too tight, your joints are losing function. On the other side, if your body's getting too flexible and your muscles can't stabilize well in range, by definition, your muscles might be losing function because your muscles are literally designed to stabilize and move bone. So, and hold bone, stabilize joint. So we got to remember that. Let's slowly stand up and get those blocks out of the way. Quick yogi squat. So we did figure 4. We're done with hamstrings. I'm going to say a hip stretch of choice here. Now, a little bit of an easy, you know, a stretch. If you want to go a little bit easier, you could do something like this. Another nice one might be your quads. We did that lean back, so that's going to be quad tension. You know I love my Vera. Again, I love it because of the necessity to do it, you know, and what it's doing to my body, not necessarily because I love being in it. But you guys know this one. It's going to stretch the front here. We didn't do a lot of hyper stretches in the front body. More strengthening variations, okay? If you want another stretch that's pretty good here, I was thinking of another one now, it's slipping my mind. If there's any other hip stretch, you got time for one more hip stretch. I showed front body and inner thighs. Frog would be a nice variation here too. I don't really think we need outer hips or hamstrings anymore. We just did that. And I've mentioned my favorite thing, like a lot of times, some of you have seen me at the Bay Club, I'll sit up against the wall. As you can see, I'm not very flexible here. I'm letting my legs relax and they don't go down here. Some people, they can really flop. I'll take like 30-pound dumbbells and I'll just put them here with my hands. And I sit up against the wall at the Bay Club, turn the music up, my headphones, and I just let the weights push down. And I'll even push a little bit. I sit upright, I don't forward fold. And I'm letting this open. Really good, okay? I'll also do it with the weights, and I'll, not at the same time, but I'll lift the weight with my inner thighs, rather than sit on the knowledge machine and do this, which is good. All right, guys, listen, you got time for one last stretch of choice. A twist might be good. I haven't done a twist in a little while. Seated spinal twist, one of my favorites. Right heel outside left knee. You know the deal here, sit up tall. Yoga usually ends in a twist on your back or seated. Easy variation could be something like this. It's a nice one. Or if you want to go big here or lay on your back. Listen, you got a minute and a half. And then we're going to do a meditation practice. What I like to suggest is personally closing up your physical practice. Remember, we're going to go into the subtle body. But even beyond that more, we're going to go towards the third layer body, Manomaya. It's the mental, the thought body, conscious mind, exploration, study, and observation. And then we're going to maybe even go subconscious observation, which is like Vijan. It's like the programmed identity they call, or the preconditioned cognitive commitments. It's like your emotional subconscious self, third, fourth layer body. Minute and a half. I'm gonna use the restroom quick. I'll be right back, guys. Now listen, yogis, we're going a little late here, so it's almost 10:05. That's fine though, 10 minutes is a good meditation practice. It doesn't have to be too long. I'm all about consistency as opposed to, going too crazy one day a week. I'd rather see consistency if it's less time. It's more about that kind of repetitive pattern you're creating, that habit, that routine. So, get a comfortable position eventually. You can lay on your back for this. We're just going to do a little self-reflection. And my intro here into the meditative practice, just some food for thought as we go forward. I often love to describe meditation as the shift from the subjective experiencer to the objective observer. The subjective you want to think of as emotional, it's personal, or you're inside your own head too much. The experiencer, stuff happens, you react. The objective observer, what we're looking to work on becoming more, let's say, into certain situations, is the objective, where stuff doesn't affect us as emotionally. Objective observer, the witness. We're not in it. We're looking at it from an external point of view. This is how I like to basically describe meditation as, or even like the goal of yoga meditation. When everything can affect us emotionally, it is in a sense controlling us, regardless of what it is, the kids, your partner, the news, the politics. If something can control your emotions, it's in a sense controlling you. We learned in neuroscience that emotional body, emotional brain is basically subconscious. So, I always like to, people won't remember what you say. This is a famous quote. People won't remember what you say or did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. The memory of the body, the deepest parts of our memory, come from emotional experience, whether it's positive or negative. It's called trauma and negative, and that can control your whole future and destiny. A trauma from when you were a kid will decide the whole path of your life.
So a big thing in yoga is learn to become more objective. It's not easy. It's very difficult to kind of make palatable for you to see, just practical. So the first thing to do is to observe the emotions. Okay, so let's just get comfortable here. Close your eyes. And as the yogis say, open your inner eye, the space within you where you can see your thoughts, you can imagine, you can see your past. As the yogis say, see your future. The third eye is the eye that sees beyond space and time. So we're working on seeing with the inner eye. And I want you to, just to start, this is our active part of class here. We're just kind of reflecting on our emotional, subconscious, and thought body. I just want you to think back recently, or it could be really big in the past, something that was very emotional for you, that in a sense you're still holding on to. I want you to go back to that experience, something you did, maybe you regret. That's a big one. Something you did that you regret. Regret is guilt and shame can be both there. And those are going to block a lot of energy flow into the higher states of consciousness, into truth, into, as the yogis say, honesty, being honest with yourself. And I want you to think of that experience. The experience happened, whether you did it or someone else did it to you, or it just happened. And how you reacted emotionally, how it made you feel then, and how it's still the waves of that event kind of still sitting in your vibrational body. Trauma can be a veil of how we now see the universe and see reality. You have one bad relationship, you let it affect all yours in the future. Just an example. You have one bad yoga class and then you think all yoga class is going to hurt you. The yogis say that things that happen is based on karma. It's all a lesson to be taught to us. And part of getting over the traumas, the negative experiences that impact how we think and how we act, as the yogis say, control who we are. It's all a lesson. There's a lesson to be learned. And if the lesson is learned, the vibrational echo goes away. But we need to look at it and try to study. This is how the yogis try to say to move on from past subjective, conditioned thought patterns. You have to see the lesson clearly. What were you supposed to learn in that lesson? This is shifting now into the conscious body, bringing the conscious mind more into the emotional subconscious experience. What were you supposed to learn from the bad choice? Or what did somebody else unintentionally teach you? Did they teach you patience? Or were they trying to teach you forgiveness? Teachers come into our life in many ways. And sometimes they take this role where they're trying to teach you to forgive, which means that they got to hurt your feelings. They're giving you the opportunity to forgive. Just an experience. It's just a example. It might not necessarily pertain to you personally. Now, you kind of got some work there, but what I want you to do is pretend like you're me or another person, let's say, and I'm using this as an example, and you and your friend, they did something to betray you. They lied to you. They had their own problems, so they did something to you indirectly or maybe directly. And I want you to take the stance of the witness and watch it from an outside stance. You're not going to be affected emotionally. It's not you. It happened to somebody else. What we're trying to do is create more emotional stability and emotional intelligence. I know a lot of times modern psychology says emotions aren't bad. They can become, their effects can become pretty bad. Like I mentioned, one emotional event can, in a sense, control your entire future. Emotions themselves aren't bad, but it's more about how we take them in, how we digest them mentally, how we relate to them subjectively or objectively. A big thing in the Buddhist approach towards reality is to be the objective observer, to have more emotional intelligence, not take things so darn personally. They talk about how this idea of the mental emotional self work, it's a lot of work, is one of the key elements to finding deep happiness, rather than looking happiness in food, drinking, parties, pleasure. You start to have happiness manifest from a different place because you're not so darn unhappy anymore. Things aren't affecting you. The president isn't affecting you so much, or the policies. This is the yoga, the difficult yoga poses and transitions of the mind, of the emotions. In a sense, we've been transitioning through different postures of the mind, different states and thoughts and memories. And we're working on being more calm in these chaotic emotional states. We're working on studying what the body and mind has been telling us, the conditions, the messages we're sending to and back from the bodies, the challenges of the mind, of the past. We sit a lot, that creates memory in the body, and we work on creating new patterns through intention. And it's the same here in the mind. It's called emotional intelligence, yogis. You take control of your emotions, not occurrences, not other people. Through intention and practice and a system where you start to observe and be aware of this process. So that's enough for talk and creating mental process. I want you now to sit in the echoes of it. We're going to take about, if you have time, it's about 10:13. I want you to sit now in a personal experience with it. Do the work of observing occurrences that have made you feel guilty or shameful. Fear is a big one too. And sit in this self, reflect, forgive yourself, forgive others. We all do dumb stuff. Let go of shame. Forgive others, forgive yourself. What work do you need to do in this space? Do it now. You got about 5-7 minutes.